Hello everyone, welcome to the video, and today we're going to go over the basic skills for the Sorcerer class in Diablo 4. Decide we're going to do a little bit of a series here where I'm going to do a video for the basic skills, then we'll do core, mastery, defensive, all the way down, and maybe we'll expand this into other classes if people are interested in it. I just have to level up some more classes to do that. We're going to start off by going with the Arc Lash, because that's what I've been running through my run usually anyway. I did remove the enchantments so that they won't be making extra things happen on the screen. We just want to test out the basic skills in combat. So let's go and test out the Arc Lash, and then we'll work our way through the 4 that we have here. I forgot to break down what the Arc Lash actually is and does just before we go into combat, so let's do that. What it is it unleashes arcing lightning that deals a number of damage depending on what level you're at to enemies in front of you. Every 10 times Arc Lash swipes, it stuns all enemies hit for 2 seconds. So I like that. I find stunning really powerful for myself anyway. As someone who plays mostly solo, I like being able to stun my enemies as often as possible. So it counts up, and on the 10th one, everything that it hits, it will stun them. And then the modifiers, enhanced Arc Lash. Initial swipe, if it critically strikes, it swipes an additional time. And then you have this one, Flickering Arc Lash. You gain movement speed for 5 seconds per enemy hit with Arc Lash, up to an 18%. And then we have Glinting Arc Lash. Hitting a stunned enemy with Arc Lash reduces your cooldowns by 0.15 seconds. That's the one I like to run. Alright, let's do some mobs. Let's see how this thing works in combat. Alright, we're only going to use the Arc Lash here, so if I die, well, that's it. But you're going to see that this is like a sweeping motion. And it's going to be able to hit multiple enemies. Like it said, all the enemies that it hits on the 10th swing, it will stun. We find a handful of enemies. There's some guys. There, we just stunned 3. We're doing pretty good damage. We do have it maxed out, but we don't have a lot of stuff on it. Personally, it's probably my favorite of the bunch. I've tested them out a little bit. And I guess it just comes down to what builds you like and what your preference is. We'll finish this guy off, and then we'll move on to the next. He almost got me. There we go. So that's the Arc Lash. I really like it because it hits multiple enemies quite easily. The downside being you got to be really close to hit them. Firebolt is the next skill we're going to take a look at. Hurl a flaming bolt, dealing some damage. We'll level it up here all the way. And so it deals damage, base damage, and then it applies burning for 8 seconds as well to an enemy. The biggest part of this, I think, in my opinion, is this one here. Enhanced Firebolt. Pierces through enemies. So when the front enemy, say there's 2 in a row, if the front guy is already on fire, it will pierce through and hit the one behind them, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of good and really important to do. And then we'll look at these 2 here. Flickering Firebolt. Firebolt generates 2 mana when hitting a burning enemy. And then we have Glinting Firebolt. Critical strikes with Firebolt increase the burning damage you deal to the enemy by 20% for 4 seconds. And I should actually mention the enchantments in case people are interested in those. Direct damage from skills applies up to an additional 370 burning damage over 8 seconds. All right, let's take this into combat and see how it works. All right, we've got ourselves a couple enemies here to take on. Let's see how this goes.
I'm not ready yet.
Right out of the gate, it doesn't feel amazing. I feel like you've really got to work your evasion with this one. Keep your distance. And let that burning work for you. Of course, if you were using more abilities, maybe that would be better. But on its own, this one doesn't feel that strong. We'll kill a couple of these guys, and then we'll move on to the next one. Again, you can see if I line this up properly, we can pass it through multiple. So that's nice. These guys, in theory, will burn over time and just die. So let's move on to the next one. Next up is Frostbolt. Throw a bolt of frost at an enemy, dealing damage and chilling them for 15%. If you don't know what chilling is, it slows down their movement speed, and if you repeatedly chill an enemy, they will freeze. Now we'll have a look at Advanced Frostbolt. This is the first modifier. Frostbolt has a 15% chance to explode on chilled enemies, hitting surrounding enemies. Chance increased to 100% against frozen enemies. So that's pretty cool. Flickering Frostbolt is the one that I prefer for this build because it puts vulnerable on the enemies. Frostbolt makes frozen enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. Vulnerable is so good in this game, right? Glinting Frostbolt. Frostbolt generates 4 mana when hitting chilled or frozen enemies. We'll have a look at the enchantment effect on it. Direct damage from skills applies up to 21% chill. And now we're going to jump in and check this one out in combat. All right, let's see how the Frostbolt works out for us. Again, it's not bouncing off of multiple enemies, right? So it's not... I think I froze a guy there. But really, I think we're starting to see why Arc Lash is such a strong ability in this class on its own. We're hitting a couple guys and it is bouncing. But I am spamming it. Now we're going. Preferably, if I'm ranking them, I think I prefer this over the Firebolt myself. But this is pretty slow for killing them. But we'll take out this little group here. Okay, that guy's completely frozen. And we're dead. I wasn't watching my health and I died for the sake of the video. You're welcome. All right, on to the next one. The last of the basic skills, Spark. Launch a bolt of lightning that shocks an enemy 4 times, dealing damage each hit. And we've already maxed out that for the levels, and we'll go on to enhance Spark. Each time Spark hits its primary target, it has a 40% chance to hit up to 3 additional enemies, dealing damage. If there is no other enemies hit, Spark instead deals 20% increased damage to its primary target. So that's a pretty interesting way that it works. If it hits the primary target repeatedly, it adds chances to hit more additional targets. And if it only hits the primary target, then it will just stack the damage or increase the damage by 20% on the primary target. Now we have Glinting Spark. Spark grants 2% increased critical strike chance per cast for 5 seconds, up to 8%. And then Flickering Spark. Each time Spark hits an enemy, it has a 3% chance to form Crackling Energy. And if you don't know what Crackling Energy is, it says right below, Crackling Energy periodically damages surrounding enemies when picked up. So it's a little blue orb that's kind of on the screen. You pick that up, and then that helps deal a little bit of damage on top of everything else. Let's jump in and see how this one performs in combat. All right, so for me, this is probably actually my second favorite one behind Arc Lash. You can see this bounces around. Probably pairs very nicely with your Chain Lightning if you want to do it that way. You can just be casting things like crazy. Let's go over here. We almost died again because Tom's not paying attention to his health enough. This definitely is working better. Arguably better than Arc Lash in some ways. But you can see that this just is so much stronger than the bolts. In my opinion, I would rank them. I love Arc Lash, so I'm going to say Arc Lash is my favorite. Then I would say this one, Spark, then the Ice Bolt, then Firebolt. That's my personal preference. Guys, let me know what you think of the different basic skills. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully, maybe you learned something. And we will move on down the list and we'll do some more skills in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a fantastic day.